Hi guys, it's Becky, and today I wanted to make a memory wire bangle with some pipe chain and some beads from the Sam's Bead box. This was the June Sam's Bead box, the Under the Waves one, and I didn't get a chance to finish making things with it, so I still have tons of beads left. Got my extras, which include this seed bead mix and this custom pipe chain that was made by Silversilk to go with it. And I'm gonna make a little cuff bangle with that today. So I've got my pipe chain, I've got some seed beads. I'm gonna pull out some beads from this bead box in just a minute, but I thought I'd use this this turtle bead as my main focal point in my bangle. And this is just an example of one that I made earlier using kind of a different method, but a lot of the principles will be the same. So I brought it as an example. I'm going to be using some flush cutters to cut both the wire and the pipe chain. And I'm going to be using some round nose wires in order to finish the edges of my pipe chain. For actual finishing of the pipe chain itself, I've got some end caps, and these are the ones that are made by Silversilk to actually go with the pipe chain and fit over it. If you don't have some of those, sometimes you can use bead caps as end caps. There are also these glue-in cord ends that have a little hole on the end, and these will work as well. These are 5mm ones. They work, they actually fit, whereas like the 4mm ones don't. But I used those for this one instead of the custom ones that are made specifically by Silversilk for them. So let's pull out some beads. I think I want to use more of these glass beads that have the multi-colors on them. I have 4 of them left. I used a bunch of them, or maybe I have 6. I don't know. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there one more? Okay, that is an uneven amount, and that's okay. I'll just use the 4. Oh, wait a minute. This one is not one of them. I do have 4 because this is one of the mermaid glass beads, and I'm just going to pull out a whole bunch of these because I'm going to be using them. And a couple of these oval beads that look like bubbles in water. So these are the beads that I'm going to be using. And oh, I got an extra one. And I'm also going to use some of these seed beads. So I'll set that aside until I'm ready to use them. And again, the custom pipe chain that was made for this box. It's the pipe chain that has a light blue tubing, and then it's got, I think it's either black or navy blue chain that is stitched around it. So it looks really aquatic. So we're going to use those. And in order to attach the beads in this, I'm going to be using some beading thread. You don't have to use beading thread. In this example, I used wire in order to attach it, but this is another method, using beading thread, and I will be using a beading needle for that. And then just some regular old run-of-the-mill memory wire. And that is how I'm going to be making. All right, so in order to measure out how much you're going to need, I'm just going to wrap the Silversilk around my wrist twice. And where that meets, I'm going to loosen it up a little bit. right there. That's how much of the pipe chain I would like to work with, and I'll put the rest away. And I'm just gonna fold this in half and cut it into 2 equal segments, or equal-ish, as equal as I can get. All right. And you may notice I'm just cleaning off some of these little bits of wire from the edges. You also may notice that there's a couple of little pieces sticking out. That's what the end caps are for. And I just learned how to do end caps using some, what are they called? Gem duos. There was a class that Neely taught how to stitch around that with some 2-hole beads and check glass in order to make a little cap. But what this will do is it will kind of prevent the wire from unraveling, but it'll also prevent it from poking into you, and it makes a really nice finished end with your end caps. So now that we've got both of these lengths of Silversilk, let's figure out how much memory wire we need. And to do that, I am going to slide one of these onto the memory wire, and it is always just a little bit tricky getting it onto the memory wire because the tubing will like bend and then the memory wire will poke into it. And this is probably the most fiddly part of this entire operation, is getting this done. All right, so now that I know about how much room I want, let's go ahead and get an equal amount on the other side here. All right, I'm gonna cut my pipe chain here. I'm gonna use my flesh cutters for that. There we go. All right, now I'm going to put this end cap on, taking the longer end. So I've got it on one end, strung on that side. And I'm going to put the other end of my pipe chain on here, but before I do that, I want to put my end cap onto this end of it. So I am doing that with the cap facing towards that. And then, because there's going to be another piece of pipe chain right here, I'm going to put another end cap facing away, so the rounded points will be kind of butted up against each other. Like that. And now I'm going to string this part of my pipe chain onto the other half of my memory wire. And again, this is the most fiddly bit, trying to get the pipe chain on to the memory wire. Because it's rubber tubing, and sometimes the end of the wire pokes into the tubing instead of going through the tubing. It can be a little ridiculous. All right. Come on, buddy. Just a little bit more. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, again, the most fiddly part. This part right here. Everything after this will be mostly cake. If I can just get it on here without a big song and dance. Now, I say without a big song and dance after I've already been humming, which just goes to show you. Ow. You know what? I think I need a more less pokey end. All right. Hopefully that's better. It won't poke in there as hard. Sorry, I just used my flush cutters to try and cut the sharp end. And am I bleeding? Oh, I am. I'm gonna go take care of my all right, first aid has been applied. And this is just a sterile alcohol pad. I am going to clean off the pipe chain and the memory wire that I was holding. Just, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, guys. Blood, sweat, and tears. It's a little bit grosser than you'd want it to be. Okay. Come on, buddy. Why is it still catching? There's like a little hook or something on the end. All right. The other end went on just fine. This end is being more difficult. Look what I did. All right. Wonderful. So now that I have both lengths of pipe chain on my memory wire, I have my end caps snug against each other. I'm going to take one end cap over here on this side. And I am going to bend it toward the pipe chain. Just gonna bend this wire around that. And then cut off my excess here. These are ruined. Let's find another pair. All right. That's probably why I ended up with a big hole in my finger, because of my okay. There we go. And I'm not bleeding anywhere else. All right. I'm just gonna do a little hook or like that. because I will be using this later after I finish the other end. All right, so now the other end. Make sure that's nice and snug. Put this on there. And I'm going to actually cut off before I bend it to leave about that much of my pipe chain. Okay. Where's my, there it is. Did I cut too much? I don't think I did. No, I did not. Okay. All right. With this one, I'm going to curl down this way. So one was towards the pipe chain and one is towards like the wrist area with my round nose pliers. All right, now what we end up with is we've got 2 lengths of pipe chain, 4 of these, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my pliers, and I'm using tweezer nose pliers. You could use chain nose pliers too, but I basically want to grab right here between these and bend these ends toward each other so it makes kind of a V. It doesn't need to be a super sharp bend as long as there is a bend. This way, we'll have our pipe chain running parallel to each other with a little bend down here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook one of these loops onto the other so they're connected here. So let me grab my chain nose pliers. I'm going to just swing that open a little bit so that there's an opening. Put the other loop through it and then swing that closed again with the pliers. There you go. So this is the hard part, right? This is making it so that you've got your 2 lengths of pipe chain running parallel to each other. And you could actually just wear this like it is. You know, it's a cuff. But I'm going to decorate it. I'm going to put some beads between each of these lengths of pipe chain. All right, I'm going to get these wire working tools out of the way and prep my beads to get ready for this. Now, to make sure you've got them all planned out enough, you can stretch this out to make sure it's going to fit. So I'm going to stick my turtle in the middle. I'm going to have these 2 guys on either side because these like rainbow glass ones are smaller than the others. I'd like them on the outside. I thought I had 4 of those. There's the other one. So I'd like these on this side. And then we'll just do some rainbow glass, or what is it, miracle beads, mermaid beads, mermaid beads? I like mermaid beads. Let's call them mermaid beads. Those are going to be here on the insides. Let me see if that is a little bit longer, I think. All right. So I think that's going to be enough beads, hopefully. Yeah, that should be enough to fit into there. All right. All right, I had to turn on a light so you can see what we're doing. I'm just going to spill out some of these beads. I am not going to be particular about which beads I pick up because it is such a lovely mix. Any of them are going to work for me. All right, and let's grab some beading thread. I'm just going to use wildfire. You can use any beading thread you want. I'm just going to grab a wingspan's worth of this. And get this on a needle. I just learned this trick. I'm so happy with it. Where you flatten the end of your beading thread. It's very flattened. And it makes it easier to thread onto your needle. All right. Now, basically anything that you do where you've got like 2 strands of like leather or something like that, and you've got it in a what's the word? A loom or something, you can do with these. Why am I continually getting poked by things? This is not a good time. All right. So with this one, I'm going to be using a thread, and you can either go around these and through your beads like you do when you're beading with leather, and you've got 2 strands of leather and doing like a wrap bracelet, or like with this one, I used wire and I wrapped around the outside of the pipe chain, put a bead on the wire, wrapped around twice, put another bead on the wire, wrapped around twice, put another bead on the wire, and I just went back and forth like this until I had filled up all that space with my wires. But this, I'm going to be using a thread, and instead of going around the outside of the Silversilk, I am going to sew through the chain. So it's between the tubing and the chain. And that's what I'm using a needle for. Also because the needle will string onto the seed beads a little bit better. All right, let me put my needle down real quick while I tie this off. I'm going to tie this end on, and then when I get to the other end, I'll tie the other end off. That way, don't have to worry about going back or anything fun like that. So I'm just tying a surgeon's knot. like a square knot, but when you go back to do the under over for the second one, you do it twice. Just so it's nice and secure. And now I can start picking up some seed beads and weaving them in. I'm going to pick up about, let's go with three seed beads. That feels good to me. And then I'm going to go through the wire on the other side of this, and I guess I can go back to front. Doesn't have to be front to back. Boop. That was completely off camera. So just see, this is where it was tied on. This is where I passed the thread through the wire. I've got my little seed beads right there. So now I want to put on one of these beads. So I'm going to just skip over to where that bead should be. And I'm going to go through the wire with my needle. So it goes under it. So instead of going around the Silversilk, I'm just attaching it to the insides of the Silversilk, and that's where I'm going to put that bead. Put the bead on my needle. And that bead put into place, or very nearly there. And then over here on the other side, opposite of where it's going to be, I'm going to sew into the wire on the Silversilk again. Bloop. That pops it right into place. All right. I'm going to do another row of seed beads. So I am going to slide along here to where the next row of beads is going to be with my thread. And I think that's going to be like, what, 5, 6? Let's see how many fit in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 6, see how they fit, and if I need to put more in. Yeah, I think I need 2 more. Two more seed beads. Sorry about my band-aid. I have an injury. There you go. You know what? Actually, that's too many. I'm going to take one of these seed beads off, so about 6. 6 will work. Okay. Bloop. And where that's going to be, I want to go through the wires right here on this side with my thread. This is going to be such a rad bangle. I'm really excited about that. All right. So I've got those 2. Let's figure out where I want my next bead to be coming up out of. That is going to be about here-ish. So let's stick this on here. Bloop. Like that. And going up and through that side. I imagine I'm going to be poking more holes into myself before this is through, but at least for the meantime, this is working exactly as I wanted it to. Just giving it a little tug to make sure that it is firmly secured there. And now I'm going to travel my thread to the next place where I want my thread to be coming out of. I think that might be too far away. Over here on this side. Okay. This is awkward. And I'm just going to continue with this by putting in a little row of seed beads and then a bead and then a row of seed beads and then another bead, and I'm going to use these mermaid glass miracle beads, whatever you want to call them. Let's see, I think 6 was the magic number for these, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why are you so terrible at... There we go. That's 7, not 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's been a long day. All right, so let's go down here. And I want to go through 2 legs of each of these knit stitches, not just one leg, because it'll be more secure to do it that way. Wait a minute. What are you doing? Why are you... I put it through the wrong way. I'm going to go back through my legs from my knit stitch. That's what that is. Both of the knit stitches have legs. It's just, don't ask me. It's how they work. There we go. This will work. All right. And now I have seed beads. I'm going to go to where my next bead is going to come up. And again, you want to put it through both legs of the knit stitch that you're working on. Am I doing the same stitch? It's fine. It's fine. And here's my mermaid glass. Then I can sew into this knit stitch up here. And again, through both legs. All right, and I'm going to continue doing this until I have all of these beads sewn in, and then I'll show you how to tie it off on the end. All right, so here I am. I have most of my beads already on here. I've got my little turtle right here in the center-ish, and I have got most of these beads over here on the other end for my cuff made with memory wire. And I'm going to put my last, see, I started with 3 beads here. I'm going to put my last 3 beads on here, and then woof, we'll tie it off. So I'm going to sew into 2 legs of this knit stitch. If I can do it. Come on, buddy. Why? There we go. I got it. I'm going to pick up 3 seed beads. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to sew down into here on the other end. All right, and this is the only one that I'm going to go back through my beads to go back up because I want to be able to tie it off. So I'm going to go back up through these beads after going through the wire. And I think I'm going to be okay with them being up here. I'm going to get this a little bit of a tug just to tighten it. And do you see here where we've got this wire on the inside of this? I'm just going to pass my needle through here so that it's on that side of everything. I am going to tie my thread off to this thread here. I'm going to pass under the thread if I can. This thread is kind of laying down here real close to everything. For some reason it is hard to get under it. You know what, maybe I will just tie off on the Silversilk wire here. So I'm going through this Silversilk wire, but I'm not going to close this loop. Instead, I'm going to come back through that loop with my needle and try not to get it caught on all of these other bits. There we go. And that's one, give it a good tug. And I'm going to do it one more time. So it's basically like a double half hitch. Keep that loop open. And then pass my needle through the loop. Carefully. All right. So now that that is cut, I can burn off my thread ends. I'm not going to do that here again because I don't know where my thread burner is. It's somewhere. I know it's somewhere because it's not one of those things that's easy to lose. Except I have misplaced it during my reorganization / move to everywhere. And now I have a cuff. Move out. Fits on my wrist, will stay put. You can add like some jump rings and a couple of and a clasp if you want to make this more secure. so that you actually close it. I don't do stuff that when I'm wearing this that I'm that active that it's gonna fall off while I'm doing it, but see, it works. Memory wire cuff. And this is the other one that I made the other day, not on camera, but it works just as well. So one using thread, one using wire, but the concept is the same, and you end up with some fun little bracelets to be able to wear. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you have a great day. Bye.